You are tuned in to a Fireside Chat with Zany Mystic. Join us now on another exciting metaphysical journey. Relax, tune in, drop out, and take a seat by the fire as we explore new realms and possibilities. This is Magenta Pixie. You can find me at magentapixie.weebly.com. But now, here is Zany Mystic and guest. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a Fireside Chat with Zany Mystic. I am your host, Lance White. Tonight, I'm thrilled to have my guest, Dr. Bruce Lipton. Dr. Lipton is an internationally recognized authority in bridging science and spirit. His reputation precedes him. I think we all know who he is. He's been a guest speaker on dozens of TV and radio shows, as well as keynote presenter for national conferences. Tonight, we'll be discussing his new book, which was co-authored with Steve Bhaerman, who's fondly known as Swami Beyondananda, which is titled Spontaneous Evolution. And the second part of the title is Our Positive Future and a Way to Get There from Here. So we'll be talking about that tonight. You can find his work at www.brucelipton.com. So let's welcome Bruce to the show now. Hi, Bruce. How are you?
Oh, wonderful, Lance. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Oh, the pleasure is mine, believe me. What a wonderful book. And when Steve was on a few weeks ago, he said to say hello to you, so I just want, in case he's listening, I just wanted to get that on the record. He said to say hello.
He's a Swami. He's always out there.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He's all and knows all. He's quite a wise guy, I'll tell you.
Very much fun.
Yes, he's one of my favorite people and one of my favorite guests as well. And I also want to congratulate you both on creating such a brilliant, insightful, and humorous book. It's mind-expanding. It covers a vast array of topics that are really important to us right now, and I highly recommend it to everybody to read. So now the subtitle is Our Positive Future and a Way to Get There from Here. We can start there or anywhere that you'd like to begin.
Well, Lance, this is an exciting story because we're in the midst of actually experiencing an evolutionary opportunity. I was going to say evolutionary leap, but I have to say it's an opportunity because we really don't know which way it's going to go. We're playing this one right down to the wire, and it's a very exciting time. So, and you can feel it in your gut, and everyone can, because it's actually, there's a biological thing called the biological imperative. And biologists don't know exactly, where it is physically or how it works or anything, but we know it exists. And what it basically says is that organisms, when threatened, will automatically do something to stay alive. So even a bacterium, if you try to change the environment to kill a bacterium, it'll do everything to try and stay alive. So there's this built-in thing to stay alive. And when there's a threat, it engages us unconsciously at first, like something's going on. And so it's very interesting because, sure enough, this biological imperative is spreading globally right now, that people know that things are in a state of flux. And it's a very exciting time because it's going to offer us an opportunity to change our path. And there's a profound significance as to why. And it's like so fundamental. It's like, oh, okay. And the reason why is science has recognized that we are precipitating into the sixth mass extinction of life on this planet. Five times on this planet, life essentially got wiped out and then started all over again. And they're just massive die-offs, and they're called mass extinctions. And the previous 5 were due to things such as comets or asteroids hitting the Earth and upsetting the ecosystem and blowing it all out and causing a mass extinction. Then new life comes from that, starts all over again. It's happened 5 times before. Right now, we're into the 6th mass extinction, and I really want to emphasize emphasize this point. It's not a suggestion; it's a scientific reality that this is going on. And when you say mass extinction, that means us too. So basically, it says that the ecosystem is turning upside down and won't support life the way it has been supported because it's just in a state of chaos and upheaval. Well, what's interesting is scientists have recognized, number one, is that this mass extinction is actually due to human behavior. So it says, oh my God, the way we have been treating each other and the way we've been treating Mother Nature has disrupted this stuff, you know? And
we're so out of balance.
So, man, I mean, pillaging the garden is back to basically what it's all about. Everybody's ripped everything out of the garden and there's nothing left.
Right.
And yet, you say, well, okay, if we stay in the same path that we're going, this is the path that is causing the extinction, the way we are living. So it basically says, we're coming to a crossroads. We have to make a decision on how we're going to go into the future, because if we keep it the way it is, then the future's already written. It's like, well, we're going extinct. And this extinction isn't like way down the road. It's like even like within 35 years, it has been recognized that within 35 years, the fish that we use for food will be fished out of the ocean. An ocean without fish food. I mean, it's like almost like unthinkable, and yet, it's a total reality. It's, you can measure it right now. So,
absolutely.
So it's a very interesting time because it's this movement in and being pushed into this other thing. It's also being orchestrated through the planets and the alignment. The 2012 story is all part of this. And there's a real interesting way of looking at it, because what we're seeing and focusing on is a building up of chaos. And if you focus on that, that gets really scary, because it's like, you had this great structure and order, and now it's all disappearing out there. And we would live in fear, and that's the way media is like presenting like all these crises, and everybody's like living in fear. And yet, there's a real interesting reason for this. So it's not an accident. It's a reason for this. And basically, Albert Einstein had a wonderful quote about it. He wrote, you can't solve the problems with the same thinking used in creating the problems. And basically, it just said, then the thinking has to change. Well, the thinking is what? The way we live. The institutions that support the way we live, because they were built to encourage a lifestyle that is now causing the problem. So why is it important? It's like, we can't get to the better level until the institutions that are driving us toward extinction have to collapse. Exactly. And we build something better. And it's the story of the caterpillar and the butterfly. Yeah, the cells, the billions of cells inside a caterpillar, when it's growing, it's like a world inside where each cell is like a miniature human, and there's billions of these cells working together, creating this harmony, and the environment of the caterpillar is growing, and everybody's all excited. I mean, it's just like economic go. And then one day the butterfly starts to stop eating, and the food stops coming in, and all the cells that had jobs, like the cells in the digestive system, are looking around going, well, there's no work going on here. All the plants are closing down, and all of a sudden this structure that was a highly organized civilization of billions of these cells, it starts to fall apart. And if you looked at it and you were in it, it would horrify you in a sense. And many of the cells actually commit a biological suicide. It's called apoptosis. It's sort of like a chemical push the button and then boom, it's a Kevorkian thing. They're gone. And the thing is, so here's in the middle of this caterpillar, there's all this chaos going on, and yet here's the beautiful part, because it relates to everyone that's listening online right now, that among the population, there are cells that are genetically identical in that caterpillar, but they see the world differently than the conventional caterpillar cells. And that these cells are called imaginal cells. And the imaginal cells have a design that's far better than the design of the caterpillar. And the imaginal cells coordinate all the other cells and take the structure that was a caterpillar and turn it into the more magnificent butterfly. Well, this is, we're in caterpillar Earth right now, on the threshold of the opportunity to do the butterfly.
Wow. Amazing. And I heard that they turn into a literal goo. inside the butterfly's cocoon. And if what you're saying is true, and of course it is, then and it only takes a certain amount of the cells to create this new form of life, then it may not take all of humanity to be aligned in one spontaneous moment, although it may. It take a small percentage.
Well, that's the beautiful part, and we've already been recognizing that the people that have done this transcendental meditation research. Okay, and what have they shown? That they can get the square root of 1% of a population, which is a relatively small number, any level that you're working at, and you get the square root of 1% of that population, and get them to get into a mantra meditation state of peace. And what they've shown is that with that small number, getting in harmony and coherently having the thoughts of peace, that they actually affected the statistics of war and violence and crime whenever they did the experiment. So basically it says it didn't take a large number of people, but it basically takes that number, square root of 1%, and when they start thinking coherently of a new vision, all the other cells will then start to assemble in that same vision.
Now, the scientists throw numbers out like 90 to 97% of our DNA is somehow not coherent. Could this be a storehouse of unused potential that is waiting for that square root of 1% to reassemble or reawaken and align with?
Yeah, well, it's a very exciting piece of that question of how do we make a human with the same number of genes that are essentially present in the smallest worms on the planet. Right. The question, how can you make it? Well, here's what that stuff is. Very simply, it looks like this. The genes are the blueprints to make the parts. So imagine like a store like Home Depot or something like that. You go in and you got all these different parts. And so the genes are the equivalent of making all the parts. The other information, the so-called junk DNA, which turns out to be the most important part, is the equivalent of the blueprints of how you're going to use those genes and what you're going to build out of it. So I can use the same genes and create this little worm. And ultimately, with not many more genes, I can use the same building blocks and create a human. And so the whole thing is, so we're all using and sharing about the same kinds of genes essentially, and yet the opportunity is that each of us can take the building plans and create from the building blocks all the different kinds of forms of life. Wow.
I found it quite astonishing to read on your website and also elsewhere and in the book that there are other forms of life, even a grain of rice, which are far more complicated and complex than a human being. What differentiates, what creates that difference? I mean, is that tangible, or is that something that unseen that we haven't yet been able to quantify?
Well, this is the new biology that's unfolding right now. Because if we ask the question from the current understanding of biology by the general public, the general public perceives of genes as these blueprints that control your fate and your characteristics, and that genes turn on and genes turn off. And in that belief system, it really is, genes are like self-actualizing. Genes make decisions, like a cancer gene turns on or something like that. So we see the genes as being in charge. But what has happened since about the 1990 on, a new understanding of genetics has come in that is so profoundly different. It changes the way life will be on this planet when we understand the meaning of it. And so the old vision was called genetic control by genes. Genes turn on, genes turn off. The new understanding realizes, genes are actually blueprints like we thought, but then the issue is, do blueprints turn on or off? And I bring that up, like, for example, go into an architect's office, and she's working on a blueprint, and you lean over her shoulder and you ask her, excuse me, is that blueprint on or off? And of